We're playing Kerbal Space Program tonight, but we're not doing super hard mode tonight. That's the challenge for tonight. 16 Kerbals stuck on Minmus with nowhere to go, no nearby ships. Can someone build a ship and send the craft file to me so I can recover them and get them back home? Well, yes we can. In fact, that is actually pretty damn easy. That, what you're looking at right there, holds 16 Kerbals. I could slap a heat shield at the bottom of this, put some parachutes on, use some exterior booster pods for the engines to get down, landed on Minmus and back up, and then do other shenanigans to actually get it to Minmus. I could do all of that, but this is boring. Absolutely, no doubt about it, boring. So this is the thing we're not going to do. No, well, external seating would work fine right up until re-entry, at which point that becomes an issue. So no, external is not what I have in mind. No, I've got something a bit better, I think. Now, first thing to do is test this. Okay, he can get out and back in. And that's all we needed to know. Plenty of drogues and plenty more regular parachutes. Maybe that will be enough. And worst comes to worst, we'll probably still have a pretty good bit left in this. TWR of 1.21. This will lift off the pad. Never mind anything else. Going to sit by and let this elevator go up a ways. It's got plenty of TWR, but this is draggy as shit. This is actually aerodynamically worse than a brick. Okay, that was over 1,700 meters per second to get up to about 23 kilometers, and not any faster than 350 meters per second. And I'll tell you something else that I pretty much anticipated. The reaction wheels on this thing do not have the mustard. Okay, I'm going to need more reaction wheels and a lot more batteries and solar panels above all else. Okay, yes, but it's not going to be enough once I add a few more things to this. I'm going to need to add a couple more parachutes to make sure this thing survives landing. All right, let's revert that to VAB. Eggbeater hell, this is the good ship overkill, really. Alright, sim to orbit. Alright, and this bad boy is flying in... It's not flying yet. Because I forgot one very important thing. Fins. Fins are important. Especially on this ugly build. And we're flying in 3, 2, 1, fire. All right, looking good. Looking surprisingly good. Now, I'm not going to deploy the solar panels because we're going to follow through with a re-entry test on this. Go ahead and dump this. And just for shits and giggles, we're gonna drain this last tank. Not so much because I want a higher speed re-entry, but more because I want this thing to be as light as possible when it hits the parachutes. Okay, well, semi-high speed. Our apoapsis isn't that high, only about 635 kilometers. But it is high enough to test whether or not the stuff that's sticking outside the heat shield will survive. Okay, so far so good. Periapsis is negative. Haven't had a single heat tick come up yet. Good chunk of ablator's gone away, but that's fine. That's what it's there for. Is to uh-oh. Okay, now we got problems. Okay. Yeah, this could be a little bit of an adventure bringing back down. For some reason, it doesn't matter which way I point it. Nope. Actually, yes, it does. I think this thing is not entirely balanced. This shit in the middle might not be as perfectly centered as I'd hoped. Okay, now for the acid test, so to speak, on the drogue parachutes. We've still got plenty of altitude for the moment. Ooh, and there's those mountains you were talking about. That could be an issue. But it looks like the parachutes are doing their job nice and tight. And wow, KSP is really having trouble rendering all the strings for the parachutes. And we're coming down at 6.1 meters per second, which is on the high side of the safe zone. There's the shadow. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, 5.8, 5.9 meters per second. And this isn't quite as flat as I'd hoped, but I think our base with the legs is wide enough to handle it. And there we go. Anyway, let's revert that to VAB. And let's see here. Is there anything else that I really want to change after that last test? Nothing major, I'm sure. Yeah, this is not as on center as I eyeballed it, unfortunately. But we'll make it work. Alright, this one's for real. We're going to Minmus. We're going to get all these Kerbals out of the ship so they can pose on the surface, get them back into the ship, and bring them home. Alright, and we going flying in 3, 2... We're fine on parachutes, Random Fast Reader. Really, we just tested that. 3, 2, 1, fire! Okay, I had to dump this stage even if it was more than half full of fuel because I couldn't extend the landing legs with it in place. Alright, easing her down. Trying to ease her down. And we're down. Alright. And now we start getting 17 total Kerbals out of the ship. Yeah, that's using your head, girl. That's using your head. All right. And that's everybody. We've got everybody pretty much out of the ship. So now let's get everybody back into the ship. And Gemfield is apparently the last one. Okay, Nillery, Hilbert, Nagar, Bill, Bob, Lodger, Elgin, Valentina, Podnard, Stanner, Tomden, Lister, Newton, Marford, Milne, Jebediah, and Gemfield. All right. Everybody's back in, and we're ready to go home. Are you ready for these Kerbals to go home? Ready or not, home they go, starting in 3, 2, 1, fire. All right. We don't even have to stop for orbit here around Minmus. We can just make a straight burn for home. All right, we burned up about 1,200 meters per second of delta V in that last burn, and we're still coming down a little bit faster than we came down on the test landing. Look at Jeb here. If you only knew the power of the dark bag over your head. Looks like this time we're getting an ocean landing. Good. Uh-oh. We're getting the wobblies. I'm making manual corrections now, and it's not sufficient. But we're still not getting any heat warnings, for which I'm grateful. And now we're below the speed where heat warnings are going to be an issue. Heartsfire, when you cook Kerbals, they pop. Didn't you know that? They're corn Kerbals, you know. All right. Yeah, we're coming out of the fireball now. Nice and, well, I'm not going to say safe because this was, start to finish, a totally ridiculous attempt at doing something that common sense would have been just to stack a few hitchhikers on top of each other. Okay, there we go. The drogues looking good. All systems working perfectly. If it wasn't for me screwing up the center of mass on this thing, this would actually be a damn good ship. Yeah, the reaction wheels don't have the juice to keep this thing standing on end. So that's going to be a center of mass issue. Anyway, in all honesty, that was the only thing I had planned for tonight, was this particular launch. Now, a quick reminder, the sensible way to have done that would have been this. There you go. No, I do not count an SSTO as sensible because, as you well know, Random Fast Reader, I can't build an SSTO. I've tried. Now this right here, by itself, actually, I could have used this before. This is the Mark III passenger module by itself carries 16 crew.
Flight check, check out what you have to do to fly. Flight check, crammed into a bullet in the sky. Flight check, maybe if you're lucky you won't die. And it's just plain crazy, it makes me wanna cry. Flight check, check out what you have to do to fly. Flight check, crammed into a bullet in the sky. Flight check, maybe if you're lucky you won't die. There are safer and easier ways to get high.
I'm making a half-assed attempt at a space plane, is what I'm doing, Blaze. A really half-assed attempt.
Flight check, check out what you have to do to fly. Flight check, crammed into a bullet in the sky. Flight check, maybe if you're lucky you won't die. I get nervous when I hear the pilot yelling "Banzai!" Flight check, check out what you have to do to fly. Flight check, crammed into a bullet in the sky. Flight check, maybe if you're lucky you won't die. Put your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. Flight check.
All right. This might not even get off the ground, in all honesty. Hell, I don't think it's even got enough thrust to make orbit. But we'll see. We'll give it a try. We will do one more bit of stupidity with it. Oh yeah, none of that lines up at all. All right. Like it or lump it. All right. Yeah, this thing does not like having the boosters on it at all. Okay, we have more fuel. We still do not have even remotely enough to get orbit. The SRBs did not really add all that much. This bird is just too heavy off the runway. But we will stretch this thing out and see what we can get out of it. Yeah, we would need at least twice what we have remaining in the tanks in order to get an orbit. That's it. That's all we had. And still not remotely close. In fact, we landed on this little kind of Korea Peninsula over here. Our trajectory just barely gets over it now. I strongly suspect that you're going to realize that I put all these damn parachutes on top of this thing for very good reasons. Now the question is, how and which direction do I goose this thing back to land? If I dive down, that would be literally suicidal. The problem is I am too slow now and too high up for atmosphere to have much of a bite. I got to get a little bit lower so that the wing surfaces have something to work with. I got news for you, Random Fast Reader. This ship is not willing to do immediately left. It's not willing to do immediately anything. Shit. At least I've got it over land. I think that might be as good as I can do. Actually, I'm doing better than I thought I would. I've managed to do almost a complete 180. And shed a lot of airspeed in the process. I am sure glad that those buildings you see below aren't really there. I had to flare there just because the ground's coming up underneath us really damn quick. We're going to stall out at this rate. Okay. Oh boy. Well, that's one way to find out the stall speed isn't faster than 60 meters per second. All right, but it's down. It's down. It's still got nowhere near orbital velocity, and I don't think it's going to get there tonight because It's getting cold in here, and I think that's it for me tonight. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Chris Overstreet, the Redneck Gaijin. Big thank you to everybody who watched tonight, especially those of you, like Random Fast Reader, who subscribe to this Twitch channel, or get others subscribed to this Twitch channel, or who sign up on my Patreon for a monthly charge. You guys pay my grocery bills every month, for which I thank you tremendously. Good night, everybody.